Behind me, you can see a Honda Civic Type-R, the FK8. At some point, it was the fastest car around the Nürburgring, the fastest front-wheel drive car around the Nürburgring. Next to me, you have an M2. So maybe this video is like front-wheel drive versus rear-wheel drive, but it is not. We are doing something that has been a bit of a dream of mine. You know, we are at a track, we have cool cars to compare, and we're gonna relive a little bit like my best motoring fantasy that they put like a famous racing driver and cool cars and racing driver!
Hi Kostas, nice to see you. Thanks for inviting me to the warm Greece that apparently is not warm at all. It's just as cold.
It's winter, it's January in Greece.
It's just as cold as the Swiss mountains somehow. I don't know how you
see red nose is not an effect. We are a little bit cold here.
Don't get fooled by the fact that we are not wearing jackets. It's cold.
It is cold, but it's actually good weather for driving, good weather for testing, and we are here to test something very, very cool. Nankang has come out with a new tire.
Yeah, the most eagle-eyed of you might have already spotted that the cars are covered in Nankang stickers. This is not an accident, but it is by design, it's on purpose, because we are gonna test the new CR-S.
For those of you that you like the technical details are as follow. It is an ultra high performance tire, a 200 treadwear road legal fast tire. We know that treadwear doesn't mean a lot these days, but still we expect this to be a little bit faster than the air ones.
Supposedly these are considerably faster than the AR ones. The tires have been provided by Nankangs at no cost to us. This has to be clear. Nevertheless, this is not an advertisement. We like Shane as a person. He has been helping us for many years since the Ring Banana days. Hence, we hope that he's right, and we hope that the tires are as good as they expect them to be. Nevertheless, we will only discover from tomorrow when we actually hit the track.
This has been a bit of like a secret fantasy of mine. We are gonna be
being here with me.
Not exactly that. I mean, like I love being with Gab, but like being on the same day with the same tire with many different cars. Like we have all these different cars, different power level, different drivetrains, and it's a little bit like the ultimate equalizer, the same tire, you know.
But also, like, while you might assume that having the track for yourself means that you drive like a shit ton, in
reality,
reality,
are doing the opposite.
We are doing very limited. We try to be a little bit scientific.
Correct.
So
same amount of laps in every
laps
car.
for each car. So I'm gonna drive approximately 4 or 5 laps for each car, jumping straight from one to the other. This is gonna be quite a challenge because first of all, I'm not so familiar with CR-S, but I really look forward to the challenge. I'm gonna send it full speed. I see Labros in the back being absolutely thrilled.
We might not be invited again with Trackspeed here, but for today, for this video, you're gonna see cool action. Basically, if you want to learn more about this new tire, you should stay tuned. If you like one of these cars and you want to see hot laps, you should stay tuned. And I think there is a banger showreel of action stuff that happened in the future playing like right now. Before we start with the onboards, we're going to take 1 minute to discuss a little bit about the track. CR-S racing circuit. You have seen this track before in our channel. It's a 3.2 kilometer track that combines everything. High-speed corners, slow corners, cool directional change that you want a car that is like agile, and of course high-speed stuff. Turn 1, 2, 3 and 4, it's like a big complex that is very high-speed. Cars with balanced aero work very well there. Same thing, back part of the track. Turn 13, a very fast corner, the faster of the track. And of course, complexes like 14, 15, 16, you know, they have a few different ways that you can tackle them. I'm very curious how Gab is gonna drive this track. First car is the FK8 Type-R, so let's see that lap.
I generally prefer rear-wheel drive, to be fair. So I would rather drive a rear-wheel drive car on track. But nevertheless, I went on track with this and I was pleasantly surprised. Actually, I had a lot of fun. So kudos to Honda for building a front-wheel drive car that I actually enjoyed. It's nice, it's fast, it's way faster than I would have expected. So we are doing like 220 at the end of the straight, which is totally respectable for something like this. And you know, it sort of fits the track quite well. So it sort of feels like it's the right speed. It's enough to have fun and you can still manage it without getting into too much trouble. So I personally had some fun.
I want to ask you, we said that we don't like front drive cars, and we agree. You have seen through the years, we are more...
Let's put it in more positive terms. We prefer rear-wheel drive cars.
Correct. I think that's accurate. However, this is a car that used to be like a Nürburgring record holder.
Yes.
This specific car.
Yeah, but not this specific car, the Honda version.
Yeah, I mean, not this
the one with
car,
500 horsepower, not
car.
this one.
Correct. That actually, well played. However, this car has the pedigree. So as far as performance goes for front-wheel drive cars, this used to be at some point the reference point. The lap time on this track was actually still a very respectable 127.
I don't know, I don't have a reference. So...
But I tell you, since I'm familiar with the place, this was a very good lap time. Granted that this is the first time that Gab is driving this track, the first time that he's driving this Type-R, and the first time that he's driving the tires. And actually, tell me more about the tires, because one of the main reasons that we're here, it is the tires.
Sometimes when you drive our compound tires, it's kind of this kind of middle ground where you still don't reach the performance of a slick tires, but you sort of have the characteristics of a slick tire. So you are incentivized to drive within the limit, so there is no incentive into sliding around. It communicates quite well, so you feel where the limit is, and it's not so like a super peak drop-off, such as when you start losing grip, it's still relatively progressive, which is good because it's approachable.
Which is good because it's also a track day tire. So
correct, yes.
It's also
supposedly
a wide range of drivers, so both good things.
But the performance is really good. Of course, as with every tire, the first 2, 3, 4 laps
are the good ones, yeah.
is where you're gonna get it. And I already experienced it while doing this outing with the Civic, that progressively developing more and more understeer.
Okay. As you said, this car has the problem of having the front wheels to do both
Trying
the power
to do
application and
yes,
steer.
yes.
I think we should move you to a car that doesn't have this problem. Track Speed has a BMW M2 down there. It has the engine in the front and the power goes to the rear, which is
Sounds
what we
good.
like.
Yeah.
It's not a stock M2, it's actually a very nicely modified one. You see, it has a big wing.
It has a big wing, yes.
It is true. It has a few other nice touches. We're going to move to a rear-wheel drive car and we see how this whole thing translates in that layout. It's also a heavy car, so
And it's also interesting to see which one is faster, because actually I'm not so sure that the M2 is going to be considerably faster than this.
Honestly, I have exactly the same question. 127 is quite fast for this car. I'm pretty sure that in the ideal day, maybe the M2 can be faster, but this is not a perfect day. It's still a little bit cold
cloudy, yeah.
and damp. The track is not perfect. But anyway, same driver, same tires. Let's move the action.
Let's go. second car, BMW M2, completely different. Front engine, that is similar, but everything else. Front engine, rear wheel drive, automatic gearbox, or rather paddle shift gearbox instead of manual.
Actually, everything from the Civic Type-R on is going to be paddle shift. So
Correct.
if you are a
That's
big
the last
manual lover, don't be disappointed. It's just the way performance.
But can I say
comes
this? I know we are talking about the M2. It is something that we didn't mention when we were talking about the Civic. The manual gearbox, it's one of the best manual gearboxes. So if you have to pick a manual gearbox car, this Honda knows how to do it.
However, at this power level, I think this car is better with that gearbox.
I wouldn't want this a manual. It's funny because we had this argument. So we own manual cars, but for example, I specifically want a manual car because of the extra kind of like heel and toe kind of double D clutch rev matching thing. But this is for the road. So like most of
On the track, you want
paddle shift.
Actually, we're going to have a long discussion about this in the Porsches because there is plenty of PDK discussion. Back to the M2.
Yeah.
Big car, heavy car, but
it's not fast.
Fast.
It goes without saying, although I will say it. It's also, this car is from track speed, so it's not a fully stock car. So it has some mods, one very obvious one at the back, and it is a rental. So this car is supposed to go out on track and for anybody to drive on. And the car is set up in a very friendly way. So you will see it also on the onboard. There is a little bit more understeer than I would want, and I think the performance is a little bit affected. So in the sense that a little bit more front end would have given substantially better lap time.
However, he said lap times, and I want to tell you something, being local. I want to tell you that this is probably one of the fastest M2 laps I've ever seen. Gab did a 1:23.6. You're gonna see the exact lap time in the video, but I guarantee you that for the spec of the car, this is a very impressive lap time. For sure, down to the tires, but also to the car. The car, of course, is, as he said, modified. It has suspension, it has wider tires, it has the wing, but it also has a little bit more power. So as far as M2 goes, it is modified.
It's a very quick car.
It's not all out. This is, as Gab said, there is a little bit more.
Can I say something? This is a suggestion for Labros and the track speed stuff. The engine pulls and it never stops. So like when I went out, I went like, and then and I didn't even know. I thought there was another 2,000 revs before the limiter. I said, oh shit! And because so I had a shift light, like a shift light would be very helpful because like I was going down the straight and I was like checking the because it's moving quickly, so it's coming quickly. So I actually had to focus on the car pulls like a truck.
And I think it's very cool when you jump from the Civic, which is not a slow car, like 310
not by any means.
You jump into this feels so much faster.
So much faster.
And it is.
So much more torque.
Funny, let's leave this on the side for a minute and talk a little bit about what is coming, because this is a fast car. The next car doesn't feel that fast, but it's 500 horsepower.
Yeah.
It's something very cool, it's something very special. It is one of the newest car Trackspeed has added in their fleet. It's the 992 GT3.
Yeah.
It is probably our favorite GT3.
It's one of my favorite cars, yes.
It is probably the fastest car of the day. I'm just taking like a bet. We're in the middle of the video, I know this, but I do believe that we're going to see the fastest lap time of the day.
I think it depends on the driver, really. If I can get everything together or not.
That driver can definitely deliver. We imported him.
We are progressively getting higher, and it's also the skill level required to make it happen. It's also progressing. So I would expect to make more mistakes with the bigger cars than this.
Listen,
these are very approachable cars. So
the onboard is going to be there for the people to judge. Let's jump straight to the next car. Get ready for a very special lap. was the most impressive lap I've seen in a long time.
No,
Talk.
no way, cannot
Talk.
be, cannot be. No,
Guys.
now we are talking serious metal. Not that the BMW M2 is not serious metal by no stretch of the imagination, but this is clearly a different league, you know, price range-wise also, and requires also a different kind of driving. I don't mean that you require a different technique, because I don't believe this, but it's just that it demands a lot more attention and
skill understanding.
To get to the upper edge. It's a bit more challenging. I mean, yes. Again, I keep having no frame of reference, but
I will bring the frame of reference. This is one of the fastest lap times I've seen here, like especially like with production cars. We did the 21.7. Like anyway, I did not even believe that a day like today we could dip in 21s here, but we did.
Yeah.
The car from outside, it looked impressive.
Okay, I was inside.
You said that inside there was quite a...
You will see there is a huge difference between, I think I will, like a picture is worth 1,000 words, right? So
Yeah.
if you
You
will
want
see
that
the
on
onboard,
board?
you will see the onboard of the M2, and now you see the onboard of the GT3. It's very, very different. The limitation comes from a different place, and also I have to be honest. Like even among my peers, I particularly need support at the back compared to some other because I tend to be aggressive at
You like a
entry.
particular type of car.
Yeah,
There
I
is
tend
nothing
to,
bad
I
about
tend
it.
to, I tend to be aggressive on entry and try to carry a lot of speed in the corner, which inevitably brings some issues. And specifically with the 992, like sort of rear engine, big traction at the back. If you set up a car for me, it's going to be too much understeer for the average person that doesn't carry so much.
We actually
speed into
discussed
the
this a
corner.
bit before, like the average car that you get set up by Manti Racing, you know, like a typical setup that you expect in a GT3 at the ring. That would be a car that is very similar to what we are driving here.
Yeah.
And Gab wanted stability, the opposite of what you would expect.
Bottom line, without going too much into details, if you carry slightly less speed into corners because of many variables, you're braking too much, too early, whatever it may be, then you end up finding yourself going on power a bit too soon, so probably a little bit before the apex. And if you set up a car for me, which has a lot of support going into the corner with the heavy front end, so with a lot of load in the front, then if you do overslow, then you will find yourself having a lot of wash, because when you pick up the power, the car sits down and starts washing, and since you do it too early, you have too much corner still to do, and this
You
will
have
be
seen
not...
this, you have done this before.
Yeah, you have done it. So this is why, for me, this was a little bit on the edge, and the onboard quite clearly shows that I
Made
want...
for a very cool video.
Potentially, I have not seen it, but in the car it was a lot. I mean, I drive the M2 and I get out and nothing. It's like nothing. I drive this, and actually you will see it in the video that it's. I also go like, whew, because it was like there was a couple of, because you have to really be focused, and to get the performance you have to get there, and the car is not happy. Yeah.
Let's go a little bit in detail on the tire, because for me it was very interesting. I want to see how we progress both lap time wise, but also like performance wise, as we go to completely different platforms. So here we are in a platform that has completely different tire sizes as well. We're talking about like a big, wide 20-inch wheels
tires,
and whatnot. How does the tire work on Porsches? Because Porsches are particular. So you would say that typically Porsche guys, they tend to go for like a safe thing. So they know that cactus work, they might go for cactus. You have driven plenty of
I mean,
Michelin's on this.
the number one thing, right? So we are seeing very, very strong lap times, and no matter the driver, if the material is not there, you cannot do them. So this means that the performance of the tire is very impressive. Of course, it feels different on 20 inches. The car is much more twitchy, is much more aggressive. It feels a bit more peaky, the performance of the tire. But I assume that also this is because we are trying to reach
quite high in the
quite
performance
high,
envelope
right.
very quickly. And this is also quite important because he's doing a set number of laps per car. It's not like we have the whole day and he's going to keep doing 20, 30 laps, so what you see is like the ultimate lap. It's absolutely, he gets the same time in every car, and we are collecting basically data as far as lap time goes, tire pressures and tire temperatures, but also a little bit like feel. What does he feel through cars? And we keep talking about the 911 platform and the weight bit in the back and whatnot, and it's a perfect segue that we move to the next car. With the next car, theoretically, doesn't have this limitation. So this is actually the float car of the bunch of the Porsches, because the weight is...
Can you imagine
over
calling a
the rear.
992 GT3 float? From a guy that owns a broken MX-5.
I like float cars.
Yeah,
absolutely.
you do.
But theoretically, the right car is a mid-engine car, and the next car that you're gonna drive.
This is why Formula
it's
One
gonna
cars
be-
are mid-engine.
Exactly, and the next car you're gonna drive is gonna be mid-engine. So that means that it should be faster than this, correct? It has the same engine,
It has the same engine, it has less drag.
so it should be faster.
In theory, it should be faster, but I know from experience that
Do
I
you
will
think
be
they
surprised.
know? Do you think they know what you're gonna drive
I will be
next?
surprised. Well, if they see the video, it's there. But it's, yeah, let's. So I also want to say something, like we are not faking this. We are having this chat straight after the lap. It's not that I drove all the cars and now we are just doing the talking part. We just do one driving, talking, driving, talking. So I really don't know what's going to happen with the GT4.
This is one of the most raw videos that you see on the channel in the sense that everything is done as it happens. Then the lap that you see is the lap that you get.
Yes.
If there is a driving mistake, we're gonna leave it there and
Yeah,
you're gonna
it
see it
is
in
what
the
it
lap.
is.
And if something didn't work, you're gonna say it there. And if something we don't like about the tires, we're gonna say it there. And if there's something that we like about the tires, we're gonna say it as well. So it's basically as objective as it can be. Let's jump in the next car. I'm really curious. I want
Let's
to
go.
see.
Gab, I want a favor. I want you to send it a little bit. Not my car.